Why, hello! Now everybody's seen a basic log cabin block, but when they are put together into a big barn raising design, how do you quilt it? We'll see today as we use the piecework to guide our freehand feathers. And we'll see how the thread and quilting add to a little star with this cute pillow. Laura Heine is here and she's got a great project to share. Plus, we're going to see some ways that computerizing can keep a quilting business running smoothly and professionally. So stay tuned. Linda's Longarm Quilting is aired free to you by Gamble Quilting Systems Vision 2. Innovation taken to the next level. My stitch, my vision, my Gamble. The project that we're working on today is a star quilt. It has little 8-pointed stars pieced in with a white background. And I have already stabilized this quilt. Now what that means is that I have already stitched around the border, stitched in the ditch, and I've stitched in the ditch around each of the stars that are on the quilt. So now I'm ready to do my creative design work. The first thing I'm going to complete would be the border design, and this one is a very simple border design. As you can see that it's pieced in 3 different fabrics, but I'm going to put one design over all 3 borders. I'm going to use this middle fabric, which has a stripe in it, as a guide to do my quilting. Every time I come into one of my loops, I'll come down through the middle of one of the stripes. I'll show you how I do that. I'm going to go down and get my thread, pull up my bobbin thread, then I put my finger right next to the foot and I guide it along the stitches where I had left off, like that. Now I'll leave that long and cut that in a minute or two. And as I come down, I'm going to go right between these stripes and make my loop. So here we go. Loop and up, loop and down, loop, loop. It's so easy, an easy design to do. And one of the reasons that I like this design so much is that it gives it a cross-hatching effect in the middle area, in the middle fabric, but it gives a really nice polka dot effect in the other 2 fabrics. So try that one when you have a border that has 3 pieces on it. And we'll stop right there. An easy one to do and very fast. Now I want to show you, I've already got one of the feather designs on this side, so you can see what I'm going to do on this side. And what I did was I used the seams of the squares. This one where they all 4 meet is where I'm going to start. And then I did a little heart on the top and a teardrop underneath. So let's just do that. We'll go down with our thread. I'm just going to pull this. I'm going to hold on to this as I start because I'm going to be going back through the center and I know that that'll get secured there. So we're going to do a heart shape like this and a teardrop down here. Now I'll cut that thread and get that out of the way. And I'm going to come over here. Now, I know that I can come up a little bit and then maybe down like this and then come over here and do my teardrop. And it's always a good idea just kind of finger trace where you're going to go. And if you wanted to draw that on your quilt, you certainly could. But you might just want to be brave and take off. You'll be surprised at how well you can do. Now that's just a teardrop, and I'm doing my feathers on the way back. And when you do a feather, you do a round shape and then you follow the stem that you just made. Round and follow, round and follow, round and follow. And then I came out with a little curl on the side of the heart like this and back down. And then we're going to go right back out to the end of that feather, make a double stem and do the feathers on the other side. So round and follow, round and follow, same thing. Just follow the last feather up that you've just done to complete that. And then we're going to come down again with a little curl. While I'm back to the center, I'm going to go ahead and put some feathers inside of that heart just to make it a little more fancy. So I'm going to go into my regulated mode so I can go a little bit slower. And my first little teardrop is right there. And then I continue up the side of the heart, making some little teardrops like this, just following the shape of the heart. We'll have one kind of just dripping down in the middle, and then back down the other side. Round and follow the side of the heart, round and follow, round and follow. And at this point you could go ahead and do the other side. I want to show you some echoing on this side, so I'm going to go back into my manual mode and come around here with some echoes. Now in between this first and second echo, I am going to do another little design, and this is going to make it look very lacy in there. So I'm going to put some little swirls round into the middle like that and out, into the middle like that and out. Little swirls all around in between the first and second echo. And what that will do will raise up the feather design when I'm finished, because I want to have heavy quilting all around this feather and just have my feather design just pop right out of the quilt. And I'll show you an example of that when I'm finished with this project, so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. But this is how you would do that. You would just do a little design in between the first and second echo. This space that you have between the motif itself and the first echo is kind of a negative space or a dead space, and that just kind of gives your eyes a little bit of a rest area, so it sets off the feather even better. Now I'm going to roll the quilt up so we can do this barn raising design in the middle of the quilt. I've advanced the quilt now. It's so wonderful to have such a large palette to work with. And I just want to show you by finger tracing where I'm going to set my stem for the barn raising design. The barn raising design goes right along through here. So I'm going to start it here. I will hit the seam here, make a little curve here and hit this seam, and then this is, I put a piece of tape here so that I would know that that's halfway, because those feathers are going to come this direction and this direction, and I want them to meet right there. So that just is a little indication to myself that that's how far I can put those feathers. So I'll go ahead and connect here now and sew this stem in. And I am going to put, while I'm up here, I'm going to go ahead and put 2 teardrop designs like a figure 8 right there. So that's the center. And then I'll come around like this, through the seam, make a little curve here and through the seam, and then another curve up about halfway here. And then I can start with my feather design like this. It's nice to have this regulated mode so that I can slow down a little bit where I need to and take my time doing these feather shapes. And again, the feather shape is simply round, and then I follow the stem. Round and follow the stem. And when I get into an inside curve like I just did there, I really follow that stem. It's so important to not just come back to the stem, but to follow it, because that keeps you going in the right direction. And when I get up here to this figure 8, I can again put in a nice little curve like that, and then I'll come out again with a double stem. Now I'm going to show you what I want to do in the middle of the star, because everything is, all the quilting that I'm putting on here is pretty soft and curvy. In the middle of the star, I'm going to do this Greek key. So to do that, start right here, and I could use my channel locks, which is, I can push the button like that, and it's locked in horizontally, so I can come straight across like that. And then I could use my vertical channel lock and come down so that I know those lines are straight. But I'm going to do this one freehand. Over, up, over, down, and we're just going to gradually get into the middle. And you can see the different colors of this thread coming through. That's really pretty. It goes from dark to light. So I'm putting freehand Greek key in here and do a couple stitches there at the end to secure my stitches. Push the machine away when I grab that thread, go down in the same hole, and then there's my bobbin thread that I'm bringing up, and I cut it really close. You don't want any whiskers left there. Okay, so I'm going to do that in the middle, and you can see already how that has raised up the pointed star. It's really cute. And then in the middle, just for a little variety, and I'll only do one side of this, we're going to do teardrop, another figure 8. This time we'll do it on both sides. So we've got 4 of them, like that. Let me cut my thread. And instead of a feather design, I'm going to do a little bit of a fern. But we're going to come out first with a feather, and I'm using again this piecework. You see how I just encircled where the seams come together. Then I'll put a teardrop in there like that, and then I'm going to cuddle that teardropped feather up and over again, cuddling that feather with the teardrop in it again. Almost looks like a peacock feather. It's one of my favorites. And you don't have to come clear back to the stem. If you want to reach out into an area like that, you can do that so easily, and then still short here. And then of course I would just come out here again on the other side and do the same thing. So this would just go so quickly. You could complete this quilt just lickety-split. Now I'd like to show you just a couple of techniques on the little star pillow. I've moved over to the little star pillow. This could also be a little wall hanging, and I just want to show you a couple of things that I am going to do that I've planned to bring out the piecework on this quilt. First of all, I have some very straight lines on the star in the middle, so I'm going to follow that up and soften the look of that with a feather design throughout this middle area like this. Then I'll follow this one out. You see how fast you can get this done. The thread that I'm using is a red jean stitch, which is a polyester, about a 90 tex. And I'd continue to do that on the other two. Isn't that going to be cute? Now, the triangle areas, since I'm using a very colorful thread, and I really want to emphasize these areas, I'll start right in the middle, and I just eyeball that. But of course you could measure that if you want to make sure that you're right in the middle. I'm going to start with a teardrop feather on that end, but on the top I'm going to come out with little kind of fern curls like this, curling them over, reaching out into the top, into that triangle to kind of feel that whole area up like that, and then again get back into my motion like this. And then just as we did before, I'm going to come out with a feather, but I'm going to come back with that feather and really add some color. So I'm going to go back into the automated mode now so I can slow it down a little bit. When I come back, I'm going to put a little triangle on top of each one of those feathers and then fill it in like this with little half circles, little triangle on top of each one, and fill it in with the color. This beautiful, almost a thread painting with this deep, rich red color. So you can really pop that color out with this. I first put my feather design in there because I wanted that to be nice and round. I could have come out with points, but I find it works better if I first come out with the feather design and then come back and put the triangle on top of it, and then just back and forth like this with tucking that in, making sure that I don't get straight. I keep it nice and curved like that. And so I would complete that on both sides, and wow, when I get done with this, that red thread is just going to pop this right out. Let's just take a look at one of the quilts that's completed so you can see some of that dimensional quilting and that barn raising design that we did today. On this quilt, I've also done the figure 8 to begin with in the corners and then come out with my curvy little feather. And as you can see, I've done a little bit of dimensional echoing between the first echo and the element, and that just popped that feather right out. Then in the barn raising design, it almost looks curly the way I did my little curves in and out using my seams as the guide. And then the medallion in the middle, just very similar to what we did today. And then to top it off, I did some of those Greek keys in the middle of the stars. Next time on Linda's Longarm Quilting, we're giving Sunbonnet Sue a makeover. Gina Perks is showing us how to create beautiful geometric designs with our machines. And we look at the best practices for work orders. Remember, if I can do it, you can do it. See you next time. I've been teaching more than 20 years, and I believe that my left-handed students have had to conform to the right-handed world when it comes to longarm quilting. Stop! Not anymore. Now with the new Gamble Vision 2, left-handed quilters can easily customize the quilting machine to their own comfort and needs. My stitch, my vision, my Gamble.